Got it. All right. So
that wasn't for you, by the way.
What?
That because you were like, oh, got it. I'm just like, that was for the. Anyhow.
Got it. So this is the pre-roll, Gabe. You know the deal.
Yeah, the pre-roll is when I frantically go check the fucking podcast notes and make sure everything's there. Did I do my Malignant review?
I don't think you did.
Okay, cool. I'm glad I remember that. A lot of movies, TVs, and books.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, not a lot of books.
That and like, these are often the more enjoyable pods when we have like one particular topic heavy, especially when it comes from the movies, books, TV section. I feel like those are always the best shows, in my opinion.
Yeah, boy.
All right. So that's fired up. We're on the move. So Gabe, I'm going to play the intro through iTunes. Therefore, you do not talk during the intro.
You sure about that?
I'm like 95% sure. I'm just letting you know. But last time you were all like, wait, hey man, what's the long pause? Yeah, dude, because the intro's playing.
Well, because the audience demands stuff.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm glad that you were very detailed on that approach.
Yeah,
but
I'm here for.
Yeah, man, are you ready?
Is this when you're gonna roll it?
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Secondcitykids podcast, episode number 175.
175 on the year for 175 episodes, a little over 5 years. Holy shit, we still here.
We are actually 6 years over, my man.
6 years,
Yep.
years, yeah.
6
Crazy
years is
to think.
something.
Last year was 5,
Yeah, dude. It's weird. It's a weird fucking thing. 175. And yeah, we are back on what is, my opinion, very refreshingly cold evening on the south side of Chicago, Illinois. So this is the obligatory comment that I make every year after it hits daylight savings time, where I'm like, man, it gets dark around 4 o'clock. And you're like, yeah, bro, well, I don't hate it, but I don't love it. That's usually what happens every single year. But yeah, so that's the deal, and it's nice and chilly outside. I just had myself a bunch of chicken noodle soup my wife threw down, and my God, it was delicious. But with that being said, obviously it's been about a month since the last pod. We do this monthly at this point. And Gabe, how have you been, my man?
Not bad. It's been good, man. I've been really, really busy between the photography stuff, the band stuff, the other stustuff I do.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's been busy.
Cool. Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of stuff going on, obviously. My son is growing like every day. It's actually kind of crazy. Yeah. Philly P in the chat. What up, Phil? But yeah, man. So a lot of stuff going on. You mentioned it, man. But, that's life. And that's the reason why we only run the show about monthly at this point. No big deal. But we are kind of closing in on episode 200, which I don't know about you. It just feels like yesterday that it was episode 100.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to have something big planned for 200 where we talk about it for 5 weeks leading up and then never
do it. Never do it. You're probably right.
Just like that yellow card career in review.
No, I thought we did that. No, it's Taking Back Sunday. Taking Back Sunday we didn't do, yeah, because it just kept on pushing it back, and it's just like, they forgot about it. And honestly, most of their stuff is good, and I found it kind of difficult to talk about, if I'm being 100% honest.
There you go. There's the entire career review.
Yeah, man, we knocked it down. But yeah, so that's kind of the take on that. But Gabe has mentioned that we do have quite the thick boy agenda. Obviously you guys see it on Twitch and whatnot. But we got to go ahead and start diving through because we have quite a large amount of reviews that we got to cover here. So first things first, let's talk about the Uncharted trailer. So this is something that we've been kicking around basically since they started talking about it. And we're talking about how Uncharted, will it work? How's the casting decisions? What's it going to look like? All that good stuff. Well, we got some answers when it comes to that, right? Yeah, so they dropped a new trailer. Tom Holland is Nathan Drake. They have Mark Wahlberg playing Sully. Did you see this?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I mean, it looks solid. My thing is that you gotta either play in fully to the Indiana Jones aesthetic, or you gotta kind of branch out and create your own thing.
Okay.
I think it looks good. The trailer looks good, but that's its job, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, dude, it looks solid. I mean, I like the casting choices and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like, we gotta wait for the whole movie.
Yeah. And I'm curious about whether is this meant to be like a Nathan Drake origin story, or is it meant to be like taking place during the same time of the game? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Obviously, with the age thing, I mean, obviously Sully in the game is a much older man, and Mark Wahlberg doesn't quite qualify on that front. But you know, I'm just kind of curious on where that's going to go with that. But overall, I will say, yeah, it looks pretty decent. Overall, I think there's some room for improvement based on what I saw, but I trust, I probably shouldn't, but I trust these folks to hopefully nail this down and hopefully make a decent action adventure movie. Because at the end of the day, that's all Uncharted is like this wonderful action story, adventure story. And if they're able to pull that off, then more power to them. I think it's going to be a good thing. So, yeah, definitely check it out if you have not. It should be coming relatively soon, but very, very good on that.
Two quick things about this topic before we move off of it.
Sure.
First one, I think it's really proven to be difficult to translate video games as a medium into the sort of the film format, the theatrical format, and partly because, you know, a game is inherently like interactive. It draws you in and you sort of, I don't want to say disassociate because movies do that as well, but it's a very like back and forth medium. You know what I mean? You interact, the environment responds, whatever it may be. And so I feel like the movie, whatever it ends up being, like, sure, granted, it can have the Uncharted name on top of it, but is it still going to like hold true to sort of the games and the franchise that we've come to love it as? You know what I mean? For
sure. Yeah. Especially a story that's so narrative driven like Uncharted. You would think that maybe it kind of lends itself to kind of being kind of seamlessly fitting into the movie format, but you don't know. You know, like these things, like other movies that were much more larger layups missed the mark, while movies that were a little less layups made the mark. So I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah, second thing, the Indiana Jones 5 film is filming at the moment, if I'm not mistaken. Harrison Ford is going to be, I think, 82 or 83 by the time it releases, which is insane to me.
That is crazy.
You know, we always joke that, Harrison Ford has the clause that, like, hey, when this character's, like, done their time and he doesn't want to play them anymore, he's like, kill them off.
Kill them, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how this goes. And then 3, I did send you a video. It was a couple weeks ago, but did you happen to watch it was by YouTube creator by the name of Nerdstalgic, and they're sort of explaining how the Mummy was like a spiritual successor to the Indiana Jones films.
Yes, I did actually listen or watch that. Yes.
So I've been a big fan of Jordan and his buddy for a while off of the Nerdstalgic channel. I mean, what did you think of it? I just want to take like a minute or two and just kind of.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. Now, the only part that I would disagree on is that historically, the Indiana Jones doesn't have actually that's not even fucking true now I think about it, because Temple of Doom exists and that was totally fucking freaky. Yeah, never mind. You're right. I just talked myself through that. But I agree, man. Definitely one, if you constitute it in the same kind of vein, like Indiana Jones is like a style of movie, much like Die Hard is like a style of movie almost. Then yeah, I would have to think that it might even be like the second or third best Indiana Jones movie, you know?
Yeah. That's kind of wild to think, huh?
Yeah. You know?
What's your top 3 Indiana Jones movies? Temple of Doom,
The Mummy.
Hold up, what? Like Abbott and Costello? No, like Brendan Fraser, you uncultured swine.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. I mean, it's I think it's perfect, man, because that character is just Indiana Jones itself is just kind of him himself is like an amalgamation of character that came before him, right? So I think it's kind of a cool thing that this character is kind of, like I said, created like our own genre of film almost. And Indiana Jones movie is like a style of film, much like Die Hard is, like I said. So
I'm just curious to see the longevity of this style. because don't get me wrong, Indiana Jones was kind of a hallmark in theater and in like home entertainment, right? That was, I would argue to say that was the first film a lot of people owned when they were sort of coming to age in like the 80s and 90s.
Do you know what's awesome though?
Go ahead.
Considering it all, at this point in time in the Indiana Jones timeline, because the man is 105 years old, according to Phil in the chat, he has to be at the point in the story, narrative-wise, where the first Indiana Jones movie came out.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of fucked up, huh? What if that's the plot? That
his movie came out.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking cool, actually.
It's about Indiana Jones 5. I got kicked out of the university because I never taught. I'm in an Interpol prison because I stole all these artifacts.
Yeah.
They say they belong to the British.
Wait, does that
I got lung cancer.
Does that mean National Treasure is an Indiana Jones film?
You know, I'm down to explore this topic some more and maybe hash out what
is and isn't
constitutes as like an action indie film, and I feel like that's a good name for it.
Yeah.
Because you know you very much have to have the adventure aspect of it with a lot of sort of
puzzles,
tan leather.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We can slap it on the next agenda because this is something I definitely want to talk about because I didn't even think of National Treasure, if I'm being honest with you. You know,
for sure,
it's a national treasure of a movie.
Oh wow.
Yeah. You know, maybe there's some like movies we've seen that like aren't like ringing a bell right now. That's like, well, by our definition, that's an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, that's something that we should definitely. I will slap that on the agenda for the next
top 5 Indiana Jones movies: Temple of Doom, The Mummy.
But I believe it or not, I don't put Temple of Doom is not my favorite.
National Treasure, the Magnum PI movie.
Oh my god! Yeah, we're not doing this. What
is Raiders?
Well,
yeah. What is your favorite? I know it's not Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
It's not Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The Last Crusade. I think The Last Crusade is my favorite.
Solid choice.
Yeah, that's just because Sean Connery's in it and he's the man.
There's only one bad answer for that, by the way.
That's Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm just saying that there's.
Yeah, they're all good.
How we usually say, oh, like, what's your favorite album by them? It's like, oh, there's no bad answers. Well, in this case, there's one bad answer.
Just one. Just the one.
Just the one. We ignore it.
Definitely.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Let's segue into Scream.
Scream 5. So, horror franchises are coming out of the woodwork because Halloween did it right, and we've talked about this. But they have finally dropped a trailer for the new Scream film. Have you seen this, Gabe?
I have not. Could you walk me through it?
Ghostface is killing people. Sydney's in trouble.
What else is new?
Yeah, so that's the premise for all those films, right? So so Scream, they're not even calling it Scream 5, number one. They're just calling it Scream, which makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit.
Which makes me want to scream.
Yeah. Oh wow, you're on a roll with that today.
Counters at 2.
Yeah, man. Jesus Christ, keep track of that in the chat because we got Phil in the chat. Yeah, Phil, already writing that down. That's definitely one. I'm definitely
write that down.
Yeah, definitely put it down. But yeah, so so they dropped a little trailer. It kind of looks like the MTV version of Scream. Remember how they had that show?
Yeah.
It reminds me of that a little bit. And obviously they're bringing back the OGs. Dewey's coming back. Gail's coming back. Sydney's coming back. All that good stuff. But I am, what's the word I'm looking for? Apprehensive about the situation. We'll wait and see. I'm going to see it in theaters regardless, because, shit. It's one of the franchises that I love, but I am not 100% sold on this new Scream film. It doesn't look amazing to me.
Sure.
So,
I got a couple of talking points on that.
Sure.
Whenever you're ready. So I was going to say, it's kind of funny how, and I don't mean to sound like a condescending hipster here, but it seems like retro. Well, hear me out, right? It seems like retro is like in again, right? Like it's been long enough that we missed the franchise, and we've sort of like gone through the hoops here and explained this numerous times because, even when Halloween 2018 was coming out, both you and I were like, we'll see,
Yeah.
And we did have that like mild resurgence in like 2010 to 2013-ish because we got. I'm not going to count the Rob Zombie Halloweens, but those came out in the same time, roughly as the Nightmare on Elm Street remake,
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th, right? There was a small, just kind of resurgence But now you're absolutely right. Now that people see that what happens when you sort of, and and this is going to sound so contradictory from the last episode where I totally dug Halloween Kills a New One, where they seen what taking care of a property does in its resurgence and its sort of, money margins at the end of the day. I feel like a lot of the kids our age, or grown-ass adults at this point, Jesus Christ, I'm getting old.
Yep.
They kind of grew up on these like corny, cheesy, cliche horror movies, and now it's like people are putting love, work, thought, and more blood into them. It's like, well, now the people that are going to go see these are us, and then there's like a 20 to 25 year gap, and it's the people that are like 50 that were, 18, 19, 20 that saw the OGs in theater. And sort of this weird cyclical thing. So I propose, here's my theory, right?
Okay.
I'm not opposed to this resurgence. I'm always very much like, if you can add on top of it, if you could sort of, breathe some fresh air into something that's been dead for a while and, re-stimulate the nerves there, I think it's a good thing. But logically following sort of history, because history is cyclical as well, we are going to see very shortly after this resurgence of horror films, a resurgence of horror parodies like Scary Movie, Haunted House, and I am so fucking ready for that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think both of those films, the Scary Movies franchise, especially that first one, and the Haunted House one, capitalized on what was hot in horror at the time. And now that everything is coming back Millhouse, everything's coming back full circle, it's like you could almost redig those trenches in a weird way.
Yeah. I mean, satire and parody is always going to be like prevalent for societal and cultural phenomena, right? It just is what it is. Like, when you have comedians or philosophers, you have satire. That is what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited because I know we're going to get neither comedians nor philosophers working on these movies, and they're going to be so bad.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Next time for the podcast, I want you to give me a small list of your favorite parody films.
Like, period?
Yeah.
Or like, this movie is a parody of this?
Well,
like, are we doing like, like Haunted House is a parody of like Paranormal, Annabelle, and whatever else was in that? Or are we doing like, this is a satire based on like the British government in the 1980s?
Both.
Both?
Both of them? If it could be classified as a parody or a satire, put it on your list.
Okay, we're gonna have some. You said top 5?
3. Let's do 3.
Top 3. Okay,
Yeah.
We're going to have some good ones then.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, because I got a couple off the top of my head that I definitely want to add to that list. But yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. Like I said, we're definitely checking it out. But well, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, it's not so shitty.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's climb over this next sandhill, as some would call a dune. That's 3.
Yeah, there wasn't an audio problem. I was just ignoring you. So yeah, Dune. So okay, now. Color me stupid, because I am, right? That's no secret. If anybody who's listened to this podcast for an extended period of time knows that I'm kind of silly. But I'm not super familiar with Dune, right? Obviously, I know it's like a book that people care a lot about, and it's like a large franchise. It came out a long time ago and even inspired a lot of Star Wars and stuff like that, right? So, obviously, the new Dune movie is out. And, fuck, bro, like, I didn't have any kind of expectations because I don't have an attachment to the franchise. So
to this particular space opera?
Yeah, to this particular space opera. Now, me and my wife checked it out kind of with an open mind. Now, the only thing that we knew was that it was kind of long. So one night we sat down, we watched it, and let me tell you something. This movie was fucking fantastic. All right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really, really good. The scope of this project and the fact that they had to do so much work in establishing character, world, and just kind of the political structure of everything, it should be commended because there's a lot of shit in this film, and it's not all of it is easily digestible, but they made it as digestible as possible, right? And it told a really cool story. man. If you're paying close enough attention, you won't really get lost. They explain everything the best they can. And this movie is really kind of just like a first half of that original book. Just because they needed it, man. They needed all that time to explain. Now, with that being said, I think it might have been something that was better formatted as a TV show, like a miniseries, right? But I think the people creating it wanted it to have that large scope and wanted it to be on a big screen. Therefore, they made it a movie. That is like my only complaint about it. Obviously, like I said, it's really just the first half of a very long story. And I'm really excited about the next one. Have you seen Dune at all, Gabe?
So I'll tell you this. I am a Dune fan. I actually have the Spice Must Flow tattooed on my ass cheek. But I did not go see the movie simply because I've read the first book. I know how crazy, detailed it gets. And my sort of thought is that you can do an adaptation of that book, but you're never, ever, ever going to get even most of that shit in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I could tell just by kind of how the world that they build around it.
And the thing with Dune that I love is that it's a very palpable, tangible, living, breathing, beating world at the end of the day. Like,
yes.
You can sit here and preach that Star Wars has politics, but at the end of the day, that's kindergarten bullshit compared to half the stuff going on in Dune. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I agree with you that it should have been something like an HBO series or whatever the fuck it may be, right?
Yes.
But like, this is a gargantuan endeavor. It's going to have to be the next Game of Thrones to even be like remotely pulled off. And there's many a book. There's like a dozen books in the series. You know what I mean? And I would even argue that you would need 2 seasons of like 12 episodes apiece just to cover the first one. You know what I mean? Just to set everything up properly and keep people engaged and interested. And I think this property has a lot of marketability. I think it has a lot of staying power. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's been around since the 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
60s, dude.
60s, I'm sorry. And it's still, so 80 years it's been around, right?
Yeah.
80 years, if my math is correct. And it's just like...
Well, not really 60 years, but I got you.
60 years, I'm sorry. My math is off today.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's a bit of a cultural, meteorite, the absolute fucking seismic impact this thing has. And people have tried to adapt it before.
Yeah.
Look up, there's a YouTube documentary on Jodorowsky's Dune, the man who tried to adapt this 1-to-1 from book to big screen. And that his adaptation never got made. In fact, it was never made to the point where somebody made a movie about that movie getting made, and it never got made. You know what I mean?
It's hilarious.
And it's a gargantuan endeavor, period.
Yeah.
And it was a little under 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken, like 240. And it's just like, that's great, but audience fatigue is real.
Yep.
Our attention spans are shorter than ever. This, you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
To cover good ground, I'm going to say like a trilogy.
Minimum.
At least.
Minimum.
You know what I mean?
Minimum.
And it's one of those things where it's like the next movie is going to be 3 hours, and then the last one's going to be like 3:15.
It's going to be Dune 3 Part 1. Dune 3 Part 2.
I'll say this. I'm really, really glad you enjoyed it because it is an impactful fucking thing. There's so many cool things going on, especially the goddamn sandworms.
Yeah.
The Alaskan bullworm.
Like, I literally screamed that multiple times. Every time it came on screen, I screamed it every single time. But yeah, dude, I can definitely see it. And it's funny because a lot of people may not know it, but your favorite fantasy world probably owes something to Dune. Probably does.
Yeah, whether that's Star Wars or whatever the fuck it is at the end of the day.
Game of Thrones, even, you know what I mean? Like, shit like that. Like,
here's my recommendation to anybody that enjoyed the movie. Go ahead and enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with enjoying the movie adaptation, especially if that's what you were exposed to first. If you want more, if you're craving, get the audiobook. Just listen to it on your way to and from work. You know what I mean? That's a solid hour you can get in a day.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to check that out, man.
And just, experience it in its full, magnificent, incandescent force that it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But welcome to the club, man. I'm glad you vibed with it, because
Yeah.
I was like, I saw the trailers, I was like, it looks good, man, but I'm not going to go see it because I know I'm going to be upset. This
Yeah.
is a book I read in my youth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And I don't mean to bust out the old man here, but
No.
is what it is. You know, some things get lost in translation.
For sure. Yeah, man. So yeah, definitely good. Hopefully one day, you'll be able to check it out. Like I said, I'm not sure. I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think you'll be happy that they were able to pull off what they could. But like you said, I'm sure for you as a person who is heavily invested and involved, there'll probably be something left to be desired. But, yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I'm really looking forward to the next one. So.
Cool beans. So I know you did a review of this movie, but I finally got around to watching it, and I actually have quite a bit to say about Cruella.
Okay.
The Emma Stone version that came out last year, this year?
Last year.
Last year.
Well, maybe early this year. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been, since March 2020, everything's kind of been a blur.
Correct.
So, my girlfriend and I sat down, we watched it. Let me say this. I like the sort of weird offshoot that Disney's doing here by taking villains and making them their own story. Now, I will say this. It doesn't have to be a goddamn origin story every time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're going to want to set up the character, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But trust me, we are like a decade past Marvel Phase 1, and there is a reason why those like origin story movies are not doing well anymore.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
That being said, I do like the different POV here. I watched Cruella sort of with no expectations other than you said it was pretty tight.
Yep.
I was like, okay, cool. I like Emma Stone,
Yep.
I had no idea it was like a fashion movie,
Yep.
right? So
Yep.
they busted it out, and I'm like already like immediately invested because I love the fits. Like you say
they're
what
sick.
you want,
They're
you
sick.
say what you want, but those are good fucking fits.
Yeah, they're sick. They're sick as fuck. Yep.
And I actually really, really enjoyed myself during the course of the movie. I do have one really minor gripe with it, and that's when sort of Cruella's lackeys were like, "Oh, well, you're like turning into someone else," blah blah blah. And, that got brought up, and, my whole thing is that I like to abide by Chekhov's gun. If you see a gun in Act 1, that gun should fire off in Act 3,
Mm-hmm.
right? And, like, it was just never addressed. And she just kind of embraced the evil, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And she just felt kind of like a thunder cunt for being mean to her lackeys, but, like, at the same time, that was it, period. Like, nothing else ever came of that. It was almost like a throwaway line.
Yeah, like, didn't necessarily, like, she didn't actually become evil. She was just an asshole. You know what I mean?
But, like, literally the only impact that line had on the entire film is me going, oh, they recognize it. She recognizes it. Maybe she's just going to be outwardly evil to people that get in her way and not just a total bitch to, like, her friends.
Yeah.
No. You know what I mean? And that was literally the only purpose it served, is that people acknowledged it, period. And then that was it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But overall, I had a blast with the movie. Like I said, I really like the premise of like the whole like fashion fucking beef.
Mm-hmm.
I dug it, and I'll tell you this, man, it's gonna be like a weird fucking thing, but this movie has me excited for that House of Gucci movie coming out on Thanksgiving. Oh man, I know the story before going into it.
Yeah.
Dude. I'm so ready.
So fucking ready for that.
But, I think it kind of, we've had fashion movies in the past, but I think a lot of the time you sort of lose a good chunk of the crowd by it being, I feel like a lot of the times they're presented as this is a runway. This is an hour and a half long runway. And sometimes that's the case, but a lot of the times it's not. There's a good story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the Versace documentary and stuff. Like that was a great story.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people need to understand that like the context of the film does not dictate the quality nor the sort of overlying narrative.
For sure.
And I'm a big fan of Cruella, man. I dug it quite a bit. And like I said, like this thing was like my primer. And when I saw the House of Gucci trailer come out, I was like, oh my God, I need to see it. She's going to strangle the puppies. But yeah, I'm hopeful, and I sort of want them to continue this.
Mm-hmm.
But I also, the cash cow, right? It's one of those where it's like, is it a good idea? Are you going to be good and do it justice, or is this going to be another Cruella 3's coming out?
Yeah, Yeah. But how bitchin' was that soundtrack, though?
Oh, absolutely killer.
Right? I told you it was bitchin'.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Yep. Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. You finally got around to it. That's good. But yeah, man, I'm glad that you enjoyed it, man. I'm glad that you liked it. Because I liked it quite a bit myself, so.
That was a blast.
All right, moving on. Eternals. The Eternals movie is out. I'm calling it this phase's Guardian of the Galaxy because nobody really knows anything about the Eternals. And I'll tell you how they did. So I actually saw it this weekend. Usually I see all the Marvel movies on opening weekend, but I missed it this time around because a lot of shit going on. So I was able to check it out finally. And overall, I'm seeing a lot of negativity on the internet about it. And I was just gonna assume it had a lot to do with the quote unquote wokeness of the film because people hate that, especially nerds, right? And honestly, I'm gonna say that I don't really quite understand why everybody is so angry. You know, I did enjoy the movie. All right, I liked it a lot. I liked it. Okay, let me cut that short. I liked it quite a bit. No, Phil, you don't have to leave. I'm not going spoilers. I did like it quite a bit. However, there is something that I will say. There are, judging on the trailers, there are certain characters, certain actors that you would believe were put at the forefront of this film based on who they are. All right. They actually don't really particularly focus on those characters. In my opinion, I'm just going to say the names. Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie, to me, are the most interesting characters in this movie, and they aren't in it as much as they should be. I believe the movie focused on the other characters, especially the two that I think of mine, that aren't very interesting, but they tried their best to make them interesting, so I'm giving them credit for that. But kind of missed the mark on that regard. I didn't walk away from this film caring more about those characters than the movie wanted me to. You know, it definitely does change the scope of everything because every single time a new Marvel movie comes out, it's like it's pulling out the camera, right? It's like you're on Google Maps and every single time you're clicking the negative button and the fucking scope keeps on pushing backwards. And the next thing you know, all you're doing is seeing the whole planet, right? That's kind of where we're at right now. Scaling wise, especially like power wise, it's pretty ridiculous of where we're at. And I'm just kind of curious on where they're going to go with it. I did like it, but not my favorite. Not my favorite Marvel movie ever. But I thought it was cool. I think it adds a lot of what's the word? A lot more backstory to this universe. And they had a lot of heavy lifting to do because it did that. So, you know, I'm going to give it a B-. I thought it was all right. And I had a good time with it. A lot of the action scenes were super, super cool, and I think that's half the battle with these superhero movies is that the action has to, at the very least, be dope. And yeah, I had a good time. So definitely check it out if you're a fan of the Marvel stuff. If you want to see where they're going next, I will definitely recommend you stick around for the post credits because that very last one was crazy.
It seems to be that scaling and power creep is sort of a rampant issue across the board of any major series at the moment.
Yeah. What else is going through that right at the moment?
Well, I mean, you know, I'm not going to sit here and name examples off the top of my head because I can't think of any, of course, right?
Yeah.
But it's always like it always goes like this for anything that has like a couple of movies or a couple of seasons for your, you know, a show, whatever the fuck it may be. It's always like, hey, we start off local, you get to know the characters, you give a shit about them, and then the next one is, oh my god, the stakes are so high, and then by the time the last one rolls around, it's like world threatening. You know what I mean?
Sabrina's the example that you're thinking of.
I mean, there's definitely a bunch,
Yeah,
you know, and Sabrina's just one of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's like, by the time you're at the third book, you don't give a shit as much as you did by the time you were in the first book. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of this weird intimacy issue where it's like, oh no, the world's gonna end, you know? And it's like, dude, we've had 15 years of superhero movies. Like, we know the world's gonna end. Like, how's it different this time?
Exactly.
Oh no.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just one of those things where, especially in Marvel, I feel like, you know, superhero movies should be grandiose. They should be over the top, sure. but that doesn't mean that you got to scale it crazy high. You know what I mean? A lot of good fucking properties keep it small and local.
Yep.
So that's just my thing.
No, I agree. Because like I said, scope wise, it's just like these are gods. You know what I mean? Like it's not even fair, if we're being honest. So, yeah. So I liked it. Like I said, B-, pretty good. Had a good time. Some great action scenes. Definitely check it out.
Cool beans. Have you seen this next one?
I started it, but it kind of lost my attention. I don't know if it was because my son was just born, but I haven't actually gotten all the way through this.
So the next thing we're reviewing is the Marvel What If series that Disney dropped earlier this year. I sat down kind of expecting not much, and I got, if I'm being quite honest with you, I got probably my favorite Marvel property to date in regards to, like, big screen, if you can call this that. You know what I mean? Now, here's what I'm going to say, because I know, I'm the residential Marvel hater, right?
You are, yes.
Even though I have an entire fucking stack of comics in my room. Anyway, we're not going to get into that. I will say this as a sort of prelude. The reason why these things are so great was because the big screen movies had sort of set up these things. The big screen movies are the reason we care for these, right? Like, you wouldn't have the What If you didn't have the OG. But that being said, dude, there's a lot of very, very carefully crafted stories here in place. And I will tell you, every single one of them intersects at the end. It's not just one offshoots. They are that, but at the end of the day, I love it when fucking directors do that, when they all intersect so good. They all conjoin at the end. And it is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely adore the fact that they brought in the Marvel Zombies, because when that shit was coming out, dude, I was all over those comics. They did a lot of really cool things, and my like biggest takeaway from this thing is that T'Challa should have been Star-Lord the entire fucking time. Like, Chris Pratt is a total dick. Did you even get to that episode?
No, dude,
watch it. You're gonna laugh your balls off, because somebody is not a villain anymore, and they're part of the Ravagers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It is absolutely worth the binge. I think we plowed through it in 2 days. I know. We're slowing down. We're getting old.
Yeah.
Dude, it's one of those things where it's like, damn, like, these are really very, very carefully crafted, and it feels like it was just kind of made for you, even though it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And there's a lot of sort of intrigue and delight. And I'll say this, there wasn't a bad episode. This is going to be one of those things where it's like, what was your favorite episode? Oh, cool. Yeah, that one was pretty solid. This was my favorite. And there's not going to be like a debate of like, oh, that one was dog shit. You know what I mean? They were all really solid.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you haven't finished it, man, go and plow that one through, because it is absolutely worth the investment.
I definitely have to check that out. Definitely something I was planning on doing anyway, so I'm glad that you were reviewed it for us on the pod.
And like I said, like, I feel like if I'm coming in saying, hey, this is hot shit and it's by Disney Marvel, it's like you kind of have to now.
Yeah, yeah, probably true. Yeah.
Cool beans.
Cool.
So I saw a movie called Malignant. Have you seen this movie?
Nope.
So it's directed, and I think it's just directed by James Wan. I don't know if it was written by him. So James Wan did a lot of the earlier Saw films, and he did the Conjuring series, if I'm not mistaken.
Did he do the new Mortal Kombat too?
Did he? Let's put up James Wan's filmography.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
James Wan. What have you done, James Wan? Let's go on IMDb. Conjuring, Furious 7.
Maybe he didn't then. Maybe not.
Let's see. Insidious, Aquaman,
Who did?
The Nun, Dead Silence.
Oh, maybe he was.
Yeah. Oh, no, he did do the new Mortal Kombat. You're right.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just really far down the list, which is kind of funny. So this is a horror film, and the premise is that this lady sees this stalker murderer killing people. Like, she goes to sleep and she sees through his eyes, and she thinks they're nightmares at first until police start finding bodies, and she gets in touch with the police and blah blah blah, and she's like, hey, like, I know where the body is, this and that. That's the premise.
Okay.
Now I know it sounds like it's set up to be a very like typical slasher / supernatural kind of thing, I'm just gonna flat out say it. This movie has the biggest huevos of any fucking horror film to come out in the past 5 years. Period.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Like, you think you know what's gonna happen, and then you find out, and it's just like, what the fuck? And then things start adding up, and then it gets even more grotesque. It is not a perfect movie by any stretch of the means. The ending is kind of it's good, but it doesn't wrap up a bunch of stuff, and it kind of leaves it open ended. I don't know if that was purposeful, whether that be for a sequel thing, or whether that just be because James Wan kind of likes to leave shit open ended as he does, right? Check it out. It should be on HBO Max. I know they had like an exclusive like week where it's like, oh, you can watch this on HBO Max, and after that week it goes to theaters.
Okay.
I think that period's over. And like I said, like, it's not a perfect movie by any means. It is a really good, solid movie.
Okay.
And it just, I'm telling you, dude, like, if this movie were to walk into a bar, it would order like an old-fashioned neat and like a tray of them at once. You know what I mean? And pay cash.
Okay.
And then ride its Harley-Davidson motorcycle with the giant ape hangers home.
Okay.
It's just, I'm telling you, like, it is not the perfect horror movie. It is not the movie that's going to change, the path of this genre. But it is fucking massively endowed. And I feel like I need to throw that out there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, definitely put that on my must-see list then.
Solid, like B, maybe even B+ for me.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Sweet. Nice. All right. So, let's move along.
Okay, so we watched the Hulu series, and it was cool because I didn't know you were watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, have you seen it? I'm like, bro, like, I was watching it when it was coming out week by week. Like, that shit had me hooked.
Yeah, dude. So, what we're talking about is Only Murders in the Building. This is a Hulu exclusive, right? A Hulu exclusive show that features Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. Now, the first two you probably expect, you're like, oh, of course, they're great. They're one of the great comedy duos of all time, in my opinion. And then you say Selena Gomez, and you're like, well, wait, that's a little weird. And from the outside looking in, you'd be right. But put it in practice and watch the show kind of unfold in front of you. Holy shit. It is wonderful. It is a great show, dude. It is fucking fantastic. You go ahead and take the helm on this, Gabe.
Okay, so it's going to sound weird. The premise is this. The premise is that these three strangers are all listening to the same true crime podcast, and they meet up in the building's cafeteria after like a fire evacuation, blah, blah, blah. And surprise, surprise, there was a fucking murder in the building. So all of them go, oh, well, what if it was this? What if it was that? And then they realize that they'd consumed so much true crime media that they could even make their own content out of somebody's murder, which is fucked up.
Yeah.
But they're doing it for a good cause.
Yeah, sure.
This is written and directed by Steve Martin, and this man is a fucking genius. I love his work. I love his work. I literally, every time there's a Steve Martin play within like a 10-mile vicinity of me, I go buy tickets. We're going to see the live show. And so it kind of unfolds in, there's really like two sets of A-B stories. The A-B story set one is like the actual characters and the way they split off and sort of interact with the world. And the other set is the investigation process versus the like content creating process. So a lot of the times they'll discover new evidence and they'll go interview and talk to people and this and that. And then like, when they actually publish the episode, we have the audience, like us, the people who are watching it, has like this weird self-insert of like the podcast critics that are just like, bro, like what about this? What about that? And there's so many good like play and like classic theater nuances in this thing that I would have fucking loved to see this as like, on the stage.
Yeah, for sure.
That being said, it was really well done. It was really fucking funny. Martin Short and Steve Martin are absolutely wonderful tag team duo. I'm talking like Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero type shit.
Hey man, may he rest in peace. The GOAT.
Yeah, and may he rest in peace.
Yep.
But this is one of those things where I went into it and I'm just like, well, it's Steve Martin, it's got to be at least half good.
Correct.
And I came out of it laughing. That shit was so good. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and I guess let's get into the debate, because my girlfriend and I watched it. We both enjoyed it. I loved the ending. She didn't like the ending.
Okay.
Do you think there's going to be a season 2?
Absolutely, there's going to be a season 2.
Did you like the ending?
I love the ending.
I loved the ending too. I thought it was fucking awesome.
I was floored by it. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Here's my thing, right? I was like, this is the most Steve Martin ending ever, right? And I loved it. That's why I loved it, because I was like, only this man can craft such an ending like this, right?
Yes.
Where everything is resolved, but nothing is resolved.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, man. It was good. If they make a season 2, I'll watch it. But I'm really not going to be upset if this is it.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The whole setup, because you mentioned like 2 parts, but there's kind of 3 parts to this. There's the 2 that you mentioned, but there's also this part of it where what the characters present to each other and what is the truth, right? So each character kind of has what they give off, like the front that they give off to each other, and then they have the actual character underneath. And by the end, like, all those walls are kind of knocked down and they become very familiar with each other. But as the story progresses, they're like, well, do I really know who you are? Like, do I really trust you too? Like, there's that aspect to it. And, it's very good, dude. Near the end, like the last 3 episodes, I was like I didn't want to breathe too heavy because I didn't want to disrupt what was going on. And, the reveal, so to speak, of the crime was very, very well done. And, yeah, bro, I loved it. I thought it was great. And I hope they come back. If they come back with the same quality that they did the first season with, man, we're talking about an amazing series. So, if you haven't, and if you're into murder mystery, definitely check out Only Murders in the Building. Again, it is on Hulu. Every single episode is posted up. Me and my wife went through it in 2 days, and I loved it, man. It was absolutely fantastic. So please check it out. So great, so funny, and just great chemistry. Like I said, you know Martin Short and you know Steve Martin, that you know they can go together. You know that their comedy works well together. You know that they're good friends in real life. But then you put Selena Gomez into this mix, and you would think, well, you know, I don't know if it's going to work. No, it worked.
No, she killed it.
Yeah, she was absolutely fantastic in it. So, yeah, man, excellent work. I would love to be on like the writing team for that show. How about
it was just so wonderfully crafted.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a really tight weaved thing, and that's not to say that the story was tight in it. It's just like when shit intersects, it's just so nice to see it on screen.
Yeah, for sure. So it's very, very good. Check it out.
Okay, so the next thing up on here, M. Night Shyamalan, he did a movie called Old. So I watched it, and you know, it's kind of funny what our expectations have become of this person, because, you know, like, obviously The Sixth Sense, The Village, like, by now everybody expects this sort of big grandiose twist of his films, and that's kind of what he's known for. And granted, some of them are leagues and light years ahead of others, but, you know, here's my thing. The movie itself was meh. The acting was really good. I cannot fault the actors. Just the sort of writing here was not up to par, in my opinion. And inherently, my experience with M. Night's movies at this point is that you've created such a name for yourself where it's become almost a detriment to your film, because you're not letting people experience the film. The entire time, people are being, you know, investigators looking for clues and then predicting the twist. Because that's exactly what the 4 of us did at this little viewing of the film. And my girlfriend got it spot on, like halfway through the film, just, you know, fucking nail on the head type shit. And it's no fault of his own, but at the same time, it's like, if you're gonna make a movie like this, like, it needs some oomph, it needs some pizzazz. The premise is that people go on this vacation resort and they suddenly start aging at a rapid rate.
Oh, and yeah, I've seen the trailer for
that's
this.
what the movie's about. And, you know, I'm gonna say like 85%, 90% of the film follows these people, like, going through it and aging, right? And I won't sort of spoil anything here, but you see, like, people grow up and you see people die in the course of a day. You know what I mean? And you kind of see, like, really 3 generations, because there's, like, the old people, there's the parents, and there's the kids, and you see sort of 3 generations grow up and what becomes of them. And you see sort of manifestations of their health issues, mental issues, so on and so forth. that aspect of it was pretty solid, but just there wasn't enough substance here.
Okay.
It was like paying like $60 for like a steak and potato dinner, but your steak is like 3 ounces and you have 2 whole ass baked potatoes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the ratios should have been a little bit changed here.
Mm-hmm.
The composition should have been a little bit changed here. It was an okay movie. If you can watch it for free and you got nothing else to do, I mean, fuck it, why not, right?
Okay.
But that's just my subjective review of it. It was like a C- for me.
Man, what director has more ends of this, has a harder swing in quality than M. Night Shyamalan? Because like you said, this is the dude who did Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Split. It's also the same guy who did the fucking Avatar movie.
Isn't it the same dude who did The Mist, the Stephen King adaptation?
I don't know if he did that. I don't know. Did he
Hey,
do
let
that?
me pull it up because
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious now. Produced by... Nope, not him.
Okay, cool. There's no other director that has a crazy swing in quality like that. It's weird.
I'm sure we can find some that sort of loosely fit that maybe have a stinker or two, but just, from prolific sort of 90s director to kind of...
A meme in the mid 2000s.
Yeah, it's kind of this weird tropey thing now.
Yeah, that's weird. It's a weird
Because,
thing.
I'll tell you this, part of the reason why the Malignant twist worked was because they worked it in such a manner that you didn't expect a twist.
Mhm.
But this movie, kind of seeing the pattern here that's been repeated for fucking 12 or 16 films or whatever, there's going to be one. And there wasn't any sort of doubt about that because you need a reason to explain why people are aging.
Yeah.
So inherently you have this question.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, well, I wonder, Malignant, you still have the same question, but they set it up in such a way that you don't expect it.
Okay.
You don't expect an answer. You didn't even know you had a question, right?
So, like I said, we're live on Twitch, guys. So for my people listening to the podcast, you may be wondering who I'm talking to. My buddy Phil is in the chat. What's up, Phil? But the man said, and I don't know if you want to go over there and kick his ass tonight, but the man said Quentin Tarantino maybe has the largest swing in films.
Of, like, quality?
Yes.
That's,
What time you want to pick me up?
right after the show.
Got it. Okay, cool.
This is ridiculous. I mean, have you seen the last 3 films he's dropped? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Hateful Eight, and I think Django was the one before that, if I'm not mistaken.
It might have been Inglourious. I get them confused.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I have big gripes with Django, but it's not a bad film, even with my big gripes.
Yeah. Phil, what are you talking about, dude? All right. So, okay, cool. So you like the acting, didn't like the story so much. M. Night Shyamalan.
Didn't like the director so much either.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, big miss from M. Night. Add that to the miss column. Next, we have the return of Succession. Now, Succession to me is the best show on TV currently. All right. I've talked about it in the past. It is a show about a media mogul who is considering retirement, and basically his kids are trying to see who's next, right? And it's basically a gigantic power struggle. Now, we're about 4 episodes into this new season. We're on season 3. And my God, bro, I literally wrapped up an episode while I was eating dinner before this podcast. And holy balls, this show is fucking incredible. It is on HBO Max. So if you have HBO Max, check that shit out because obviously it airs on HBO. That was crazy, man. That is just, it's just incredible how great of a film it is. And it's kind of a parody on like big corporate America and kind of the sick, dysfunctional family that don't really have like a family kind of connection at all. They only see each other as a way to leverage power and position in the state of things.
It's like Knives Out.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, basically, kind of, sort of. Yeah, and man, such a good fucking show. So if you have not, please check it out. Holy shit, it is so good. Has me on the edge of my seat every single time, and man, it is incredible. So definitely check out Succession on HBO Max. Attaboy. All right, moving along. This Buzz Lightyear thing, this Lightyear thing. Have you seen the little teaser trailer thing that we got?
I have. I'm going to harken back to this. Stop hiring big celebrities for voice acting. When did this become a thing, and why is it still a thing? I've hired good fucking voice actors.
Okay.
And I'm not saying Chris Pratt's not a good fucking voice actor, but we're just kind of at this point where, like, people think that if a major name isn't attached to this project, it's going to
fail.
Flop.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous, dude. Like, for fuck's sake, like, Chris Pratt is doing so many VA jobs right now that, like, it's going to be hard to distinguish.
Yeah, I agree.
The reason why Genie stood out in Aladdin was because Robin Williams was not only a phenomenal actor on screen, he was a phenomenal actor behind the screen as well. Mm-hmm. And all those little inflections and all those little voice tricks and the energy.
Perfect.
You compare that to Will Smith's Genie, there is a je ne sais quoi. There is, ingredient X is missing from between the two performances. Chris Pratt does not fucking have that.
Correct.
And no hate to the dude, but come on. If you want something memorable, you're going to need to find some fucking good talent.
I just don't understand why the fuck they didn't have Tim Allen do it.
Yeah.
What's the problem with that?
I don't know.
He is Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean? Like,
and that was a memorable performance.
Absolutely. It was fantastic. Oh my God. I quote Buzz Lightyear on a daily basis. You know what I mean? So
you're at that point in your dad career.
Yeah, dude, it's just like it's just so funny. I just don't understand why they didn't just go Tim Allen with it. But other than that, because I do agree with you 100% on the whole needing to get these megastars as a voiceover. You don't have to do it. Anyways.
Well, hang on. Before we jump off that, just imagine if they brought in some fucking like A-list celebrity to voice Kratos for God of War. The only one, and he is not an A-list celebrity anymore by any means, but he is in my heart. The only one that gets a pass for that is James Earl Jones, period.
Yeah.
Just imagine if they brought in Chris Pratt for Kratos.
Oh my God. Don't let me fucking throw something at you.
Nobody would have bought the game.
Nobody. Not a soul.
Nobody would have bought the game.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that hire the right person for the right job.
I agree.
I'm not going to call my electrician to fix my plumbing. Coincidentally, I'm the same. What are you laughing at?
No, they keep going.
Who said what in the chat?
No. I was laughing at you. I thought that was pretty good. I'm not going to call
I was going to cap that off with coincidentally, I'm the same motherfucker for both jobs. But you get my point? Anyway, that's my Lightyear rant.
I feel
it seems fine.
Yeah,
but I'm curious to see how this ties into the whole Toy Story epic. Do you remember the Buzz Lightyear cartoon, by the way?
I do. I remember it being on. I just don't remember watching it.
I have these like weird locked memories, and then when that trailer came on, I remembered like specific, vivid cell animation detail. So that was cool, but maybe I'll rewatch that. It's been a while.
Phil said, the dude who voices Kratos look wild. If he called me boy, I'd feel like one.
Yeah, I mean, he mean as hell.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool, man. Shit, that took a long time. Let's keep it moving. So, we're going into gaming. Both things that I wrote topics down. So, new Call of Duty game. Yay. Yeah, so Vanguard's out. I covered the alpha and the beta on this podcast. Wanted to talk briefly about the game as it's out in its current state. Couple of things. Number one, having a good time. Movement feels great. Gunplay feels great. Does not need to have 10 attachments for every single gun. I think it's a tad bit ridiculous. I didn't play the campaign because who the fuck cares? Haven't played the zombies because I heard it's a broken mess. I'm having fun with the multiplayer. And it's taking too long to load up your weapons. It takes too long. It takes too long to progress through their system. Other than that, maps are really, really good. Gunplay is really, really good. I'm going to have a lot of fun watching the pros play this year. That is my review of Call of Duty Vanguard. It is a B.
Cool. The only thing that I sort of still am attached to the Call of Duty is the zombies storyline because it is such a grossly convoluted mess, but I love it. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's kind of, they wrote themselves into a corner and then they took an eraser, erased the corner, and wrote 5 new corners in its place. And then using 5-dimensional Terminator time travel, they fixed it. And now the room's a circle and it has no corners. So yeah. I'm just excited. I'm going to watch the updated story video when it comes out.
Yeah. So that's kind of my quick review because I'm not going to talk about it too long because...
I mean, you could just copy and paste your review from any of the other 5 Call of Duties that we came out when we started doing this show.
Well, did I like all of them? I didn't like all of them.
You didn't even play Infinite Warfare, so no.
I played like 5 games of it, and then I threw up, and I'm like, okay, can't play it anymore.
Hey man, that first zombies map.
Oh, I know. Jesus Christ. But yeah, so yeah, whatever. You know, it is what it is. Next up, Halo Infinite. So kind of a weird thing. Today is the 20-year anniversary of Halo dropping. All right, the very first Halo Combat Evolved dropped 20 years ago today, and with that celebration, Xbox, Microsoft, whoever the fuck you want to give credit for it, dropped Halo Infinite multiplayer today, which is like a day earlier, I think, than it was supposed to drop. I think that's kind of cool, kind of unique. I wonder if that's why they kept on pushing it back. I would like to believe that, but I also want to believe that that's just delayed, you know?
A little bit of column A,
yeah,
a little bit of column B.
Yeah, so it lined up nicely. I do plan on downloading it probably tonight, maybe playing some tomorrow. I don't know. But yeah, new Halo is out. I'm sure you're probably going to end up playing it a little bit. It's free, so there's really no excuse for you not to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually pulling up Steam right now.
Yeah, see, downloading as we speak. So, yeah, I will be playing it a little bit. We'll see what happens about how like long term I play it, because I did enjoy the Master Chief Collection, Halo 4. But I'm not touching the rest of them. But Halo 4, oh my God, Jesus, Halo 4, I did like quite a bit. So we'll see what Infinite looks like moving forward. But that's gaming in a nutshell. Quick and easy.
Quick and easy. Okay, let's get into music news and reviews.
Speaking of quick and easy,
bangers.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. We're speaking about quick and easy.
No, that was my segue for you. Go ahead.
Well, how does that segue have to do anything? A segue is supposed to bridge 2 topics.
It does. It did.
Who's quick and easy in music news and reviews?
The music itself is quick and easy.
You think that these bands didn't put love and time into making the... I'm sorry, do you think we're reviewing Bad Omens today?
Oh, shots fired.
No, I'm kidding. That's your opinion, not mine.
Yeah.
I didn't even touch it.
I mean,
okay.
It's the right opinion, but keep going.
I'm going to say it again because I like saying it. It's time for music news and reviews.
Yeah.
So, 2 behemoths of an album. I know they're listed in a certain order on here, but which one do you want to do first, bud?
It makes no difference to me, Gabe.
Okay, do you want to take the reins on the first one to start off, and I'll take the reins on the second one to start off with?
We're talking about Every Time I Die?
Oh!
Yeah, Every Time I Die is out. Radical is out. It is 16 tracks. It is ridiculously fast and brutal. And in my opinion, some of the best writing that Every Time I Die has done. Our boys from Buffalo are back. And yes, they do indeed have moist hands. So that's kind of the deal, man. I mean, honestly, wait, you all right?
The moist hands shit caught me off guard.
Dude.
Moistest hands in Buffalo.
Anyways, yeah, man. Every Time I Die is back, man. And they raise the bar every time. Every time. Like, I don't think they've had an album that was worse than the one before it. Or, you know, it just gets better. And they continue to get better. I'm impressed by the scoop of everything, because it is quite the large album, and didn't feel like it, though. Because, you know, you and I have reviewed albums that are long, and it felt like it. This didn't feel like it, you know. It's kind of this constant panic attack that you're going through, and just when you get a little bit of levity between the songs, the next panic attack starts. So it's about 16 minutes of me rolling on the floor, fucking foaming at the mouth and crying. That's Every Time I Die, in a nutshell.
Yeah, so Radical was an album we've been waiting for a very, very long time. It is 51 minutes and 17 seconds. So long, or should I say 51:17 short. You're absolutely right. This album does not feel like it's an hour long. And in fact, it almost makes you go, wait, that's it?
Yep.
And not in like a bad way either. It's just in like a, holy shit, like I've made it through, and then now you're in bumfuck Indiana because you're just like, I need to drive and listen to this. Nobody can interrupt me.
Yeah.
So Will Putney, right? Will Putney said you guys never open up with a heavy track, and they said, fuck you, Will. We're writing Dark Distance, and we're fucking getting this pick going. What's there to say about Every Time I Die that I feel like I haven't said already? They are a phenomenal band. They always put their fucking best foot forward when they write. And you're absolutely correct on, like, probably some of the best lyricism on this album. And on the surface level, it may not seem like that because there's a lot more repetition and sort of calling back to the chorus, especially with shit like Postmortem. But I dare you, nay, I challenge you to really sit down, listen to the track, and have the lyrics pulled up and really sort of dissect it in your free time. Because there is, like, no stone left unturned. And the fact that this entire thing was written pre-pandemic, like, that is insanity. Like, pre-George Floyd, pre all this, like, bullshit that happened in the fucking past 2 years. And it feels like this was written in a response to the political climate, to the environmental climate, to everything that's been going on in the past 2 years. And that fact alone, this album transcends the time it was released.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, think about that, right? It is still relevant today, even though it was done when I fucking went to fly out on a train or on a plane to see them play on a goddamn boat. Think about that.
Yeah.
You know? This thing is a banger. I want to commend that, dude. The bass is up front for a lot of these fucking tracks. It is really good. It's punchy and it is fat, dude. I love that because, you know, in my opinion, some of the other ETID records, the bass gets lost. You know, you're like, you got the Buckley on guitar, you got Andy on guitar, and Keith kind of like, you know, the mastermind. I don't want to say that, but like kind of the frontman doing the frontman's job here.
Correct.
Right? And say what you want about Goose as the new drummer. Say whatever the fuck you want about any previous drummer in this band. Dude, it has always been a good staple to just have really simple drums with a good catchy like rhythm. But now it's over the top. It's fucking awesome. It is everything in this thing is like it's the perfect grilled cheese. Like you bought really good artesian bread. You bought the most expensive fucking cheese. You bought all the additives you want to add to this goddamn grilled cheese, but it's still being served at your local favorite dive bar because the vibes are good, and god damn it, they did it again.
Yes, they did.
Every time I raise the bar, man. What is your favorite track off this thing?
Oh, hold on, let me pull it up because honestly, like, there's so many tracks on here that I find it hard to remember the names for them. Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. I'm sorry. Every Time I Die, You're an E.
Also, really quick, shout out to your wife for finally converting, and I'm surprised this is the album that did it.
Hey, man, this shit bangs. What can you say? Was it AWOL? No, not AWOL. Man. Sly was really good. The Whip was a fucking banger. And of course,
do you know what my favorite track off this thing is?
I'm gonna say just by looking at what?
What?
What is it?
You have no guess?
No guess.
All This in a War. Because holy shit. You know what, dude? I'll say this. 68, fine. Fever, fine. The Chariot, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, this one feature satisfied my Chariot craving, at least momentarily. It'll come back. It always does, like herpes. But this is just such a good fucking feature. I don't give a shit what Courtney LaPlante is doing. I don't give a shit what Oliver Sykes is doing in regards to features. Because this is the feature to end it all.
You hear that?
This
Gabe?
might just open.
What? You hear that?
Yeah.
That's Norma Jean. They would like to have a word with you. Because you totally fucking forgot about Norma Jean and all that. keep going. God damn it.
But that being said, like, simply because we might have to slap a new thing for our end of the year wrap up, the feature of the year. And this song, simply because it's creating this category, this is it for me.
Anything with Courtney LaPlante. That's the feature of the year.
For you, sure. It's okay to be wrong. But that being said, phenomenal album. My Wax version of it just came in. It's really good. It's awesome.
Wax.
I love it, man. You can't go wrong.
Sure.
You can't go wrong.
Sure. I agree.
And
nice.
Solid, like, A tier for me, man.
Okay. Yeah, I'd agree. It's an A, for sure. For sure.
Okay, so it's my turn to start off with this next one, is it?
Yes.
Okay, that was my review. But tiny little indie band out of California called Silent Planet, with just a little over 3.6 million listens on Panic Room on Spotify, dropped the new album called Iridescent. Before we dive into it, I love the cover art. There's something special about
it's really
it.
sick.
It's just weird. Yep. It's enticing. It draws you in.
They have great cover art.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the better. I don't know if I'd say best, but definitely like a contender. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This album, and if I'm being absolutely honest with you, I totally forgot it came out on Friday until you texted me saying, "Hey, whoa, like this album's out," and I was like, "Oh shit, right."
Mm-hmm.
First 3 songs, smitten.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like already like, holy shit! Like, Silent Planet is this weird amalgamation of Shakespeare and fucking like metalcore that just works. And there's something so welcoming about their sound, because even though Garrett writes these really complex and meaningful Shakespearean fucking lyrics, it's still super relatable, and it still fucking pulls you into it and takes your breath away. I love this album. This is an absolute banger front to back, and dare I say, it might be no skips in my car. There's no song on this thing that is like, oh, we can skip this if you want, or like, oh, okay, I'm not really vibing with this. Everything has something to contribute, and the album as a whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and it's just wonderful. And I'm gonna call it right now before you dive in and do your review. I think our favorites are gonna line up with our favorites from the last one, where it's the weird fucking offshoot that they're never gonna play live.
Okay.
And I will say, I know you had some concerns about some of the singles they released leading up to it. In particular, I think it was Trilogy or Panopticon, one of those two that you had issues.
I think it was Trilogy.
I love where they fit in this like track list. It's so snug. Like it's a puzzle piece. It was meant to be there within the scope of this roller coaster of a fucking album. This is a cocktail that you can both use as a Molotov, but sip on very, very slowly at your favorite bar, and I love it.
Okay, cool. All right, so so like I said, I think in a weird turn of events, I got to a Silent Planet album before you did. So I basically going to mirror a lot of the things that you said. What I think is kind of interesting, though, and you could tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like something that is deeply associated with the Silent Planet sound is kind of that poetic core kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like on this particular album, they kind of dialed it back a bit. I'd
agree with you.
On the poetry aspect of it, where it's kind of like drums and Garrett just shouting his soul out, right? It's more of a, I don't want to say traditional metalcore album, but in a way it is. You know, they went kind of
traded a lot of the slam poetry for bigger choruses.
Yeah, exactly. And with that being said, I want to talk about the choruses real quick, because one of my biggest complaints about Silent Planet overall is that their clean vocalist isn't great. I've always said that. I love the band. I discovered them, out of the two of us, and I love them a lot. I think they're fantastic. But when it comes to clean vocals, I was never quite happy with the performance given. This is the first album that I would say that I think he found his pocket, right? I think he found his delivery and kind of his range where he can sit in, where he could comfortably deliver vocals without it sounding a little too whiny, like he's trying too hard. And I really, really liked this album. I thought they did a great job. It was one of the faster listens that I did, because like I said, I listened to it while I was at work. When I even texted you, I think I'm like, man, this album came out fucking swinging, because it did, right? And I got through it. I'm like, man, that was a good album. And I listened to it again. I'm like, man, I still like it. And every time I've listened to it, I can still continue to like it, which is a good sign. I think it's something that should be said kind of about the scene as a whole, is that you and I have reviewed many, many albums in our time on this podcast, right? Mountains and mountains of them. And there are very few of those that
we give a second, a third,
correct,
a fourth, and a fifth.
Correct. Because it's just so hard, with all the albums and the velocity that they come at you, it's kind of hard to be able to listen to an album multiple times. This album so far, it's very much like the last Silent Planet album, which I believe was our unanimous album of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2019.
Yep. They kind of just ran away with it. I could see this near the top of my list this year. So
yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's going to make my top 3 cut. Like no bullshit, right up front.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So definitely excellent. They did a great job. Production is phenomenal. Vocal performance is really, 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 really good. Nothing to be ashamed of.
I believe Will Putney did this one as well.
Of course he fucking did. So wait, what is that? That's like, when did 4 Year Strong come out? Did that come out this year too?
The Dadcore album?
Yeah. When did that come out?
Let me pull it up actually, because I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
Because that album does kind of feel like forever ago.
It does, yeah. So
that was last year. Brain Pain was 2020.
Okay. So because I was gonna say that's like potentially like 3 albums from the same producer on my, you know what I mean? Like Jesus Christ. But yeah, man. Overall, very, very, very good, man. So an effort to be proud of, and I'm sure they're gonna have a great time playing a lot of these songs live because, they're just intense and brutal, and like you said, laying some heavy work with the vocals and the lyricism. Good stuff. Absolutely fantastic. I believe it is also an A. So that's 2 albums on this podcast this week that I got. Ace.
A couple of quick additions to the Silent Planet review. Mitch is the clean vocalist and also the bassist. It is absolutely wonderful live. I had the pleasure of working with him, and that set is on my YouTube channel. But this dude really sort of grew into his voice, for lack of a better term. And I agree with you that, a lot of the times it was like, okay, this is fine. But like this album, like you want to hear it. You want to hear him come out swinging. And he just such a nice fucking job of like balancing out Garrett. And it's kind of funny when you look at the two because neither of them look like they'd be in a metalcore band.
Yeah.
No hate to either of them. I love them both dearly. But it's just such a good album. And, consume this media in whatever fashion suits you best. But if you really want to do this album justice, because this is like a good work of art because I've listened to it and again and again and again. And every time I go in, I find something new. Mm-hmm. So honestly, like get your best pair of headphones out and just vibe. Go listen to it. Cause there's a lot going on in the background. Like, dude, I was listening to Terminal at one point and I'm just like, bro, like, is that a noise my car is making? And I had to turn it down. I was like, no, dude, this is like faint ringing in the background that's produced in, and it's like if you weren't paying attention to it you wouldn't notice it. And just these glimmers of sound and just it's very like touch and go and I just love it. It's so good. Putney did such a good job. Silent Planet did such a good job. What are your favorites off this album?
Hold on, I just pulled it up. I was looking at what the fuck, I just had it in front of me. My bad. Again, I'm horrible at podcasting.
No, you good. I mean, you've only been doing it for 6 years.
Yeah, so right. You think
nobody expects you to be good yet.
Yeah, right. My favorite song on the album was "Alive as a House Fire."
It is an absolute banger.
And "The Sound of Sleep" was also very good. Those 2 back to back were really solid, really, really good.
Yeah, they played "The Sound of Sleep" live when I shot them. I'm a big fan of Second Son.
Okay.
There's something about it, and that Until We Have Faces, those 2 are just like doing it for me.
For sure.
So, yeah, awesome. A-tier album. I also do have a quick announcement before we go into the bangers of the week. It's been 2 years since it came out, if not a little bit longer than that, but I am inducting a new album to my 10 out of 10 list.
Okay.
Simply because it's been 2 years and I still can't get enough of this thing, and I know you're going to give me flack for it, but can you guess what it is?
You said 2 years ago it came out?
Yeah, the album was 2019, yep.
2019.
It was also my album of the year, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Silent Planet was our album of the year.
That was 2018.
You sure?
Yeah, I just looked it up. So I know I said 2019 for Silent Planet, but it was 2018.
2019. I don't know. What is it?
It is Piss Poor by Fever War.
I was actually listening to that. It came up on my shuffle the other day.
I just, this is a band that got snubbed before they really took off, and I love this album. They released a follow-up single, which is the last piece of work that Nick did with the band called Kick Rocks, and I'm telling you, you put these guys, you put like My Ticket Home on a bill, and it's gonna fucking murder. It's gonna destroy venues, but it's a great album. It makes my indoctrinated 10 out of 10.
You're going to have to give me a full list of that. I'm genuinely curious on what. Like, at least since we've been doing the podcast, which ones are your perfect 10 out of 10s? I'm curious.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the sort of no-brainers are Crisis by Alex is on Fire, Let Go by 100th.
Okay.
There's a Hell, Bring Me the Horizon, Piss Poor, and I believe there was one more because there was 4.
Dispose.
Yeah, Dispose.
Yeah.
So that's 5. Those are my 5.
Okay, cool. Interesting.
Do you have any?
Perfect albums. Alien by Northlane. Lost Together, Lost Forever by The Architects. Fake History by Let Live. There Is a Hell by Bring Me the Horizon. And Define the Great Line, Underoath.
Yeah, Solid choices. Also, since you mentioned it, honorable mention to Sanction, because I'm sure they're going to inch their way in there.
Oh yeah,
It's just the more shit you listen to, the more you realize that I need to go see Sanction live.
For sure, yeah, in some random arcade in the middle of North Dakota,
in fucking Milwaukee, right?
yeah. So, actually, before we move on to certified bangers, we do have a little bit of a thing that came up.
I am so happy for them. But I am also very upset with Metalcore Twitter for not making a giant deal about this. So Texas in July is back.
Yes.
Like, let me say that again slower. Texas in July is back.
Yeah.
And they're playing at the August Burns Red Christmas show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy shit, that is a huge deal. It's been 6 years.
Yeah, dude. Didn't see that coming. Didn't hear anything about it. But, yeah, man, Texas in July, who are, in my opinion, when they were moving, they were one of the best metalcore acts around, and they kind of disappeared. I mean, they announced that they were gonna, call it quits. But I feel like, kind of similarly to what you're saying about metalcore Twitter not making a big deal about it, they didn't really make a big deal about it when they left either. So I don't know what I'm missing, or if you and I are just wrong, but. Yeah,
no,
man.
We're definitely not wrong. This is a big fucking deal. I would put this like a step below when Underoath announced that they were coming back.
Yeah. Okay. I would put that.
You know what I mean? Like Underoath was huge. We could spend an entire episode on that. But step below that,
we did.
Yes.
We did spend an entire episode on that. Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I'm glad that they're fucking back. I don't know the scope of their return. I don't know if they're just playing a one-off. Don't know if they plan on coming back and doing some more extensive touring, but hopefully they do have at least somewhat of a little run that we can go and hopefully hit a stop when they come here.
Can we get like a fucking hey, we're back in business tour with like the Bled, Texas in July, and they're not back, but it'd be killer if they were This or the Apocalypse, and then just bundle those.
Aren't they playing a show?
This or the Apocalypse?
Yeah, aren't they playing something too?
Are they?
I'm pretty sure they're playing shows too. I'm pretty sure.
If they haven't released new music in like a decade.
What's his name is in fucking Ice Nine Kills.
It says they're still present.
I could have swore to God I saw them on a lineup somewhere.
Yeah, it says they're still together. Associated Acts, Ice Nine Kills.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
I swear to God I saw that they were on a lineup or a bill somewhere. I don't remember, but yeah, I heard. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Nice neat little lineup there.
Yeah, I mean, their last release was Dead Years 2012, so.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Been a long time for This is the Apocalypse. But yeah, man. So yeah, Texas in July, man. Hopefully we get a chance to see them coming up soon enough. So, yep.
Oh, hang on. Whoa, all right. So there was something going on here because they are back, rebranded as a band called Hawk. Just Hawk, not a band called Hawk. I know the Prince thing gets in the way a lot. And they dropped a single 2 years ago called Mileage with Spencer Charndas. Okay. I mean, I like This or the Apocalypse. I don't know why they changed branding, but do what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, but I gotta swear I saw them like on a fucking like bill. Like on a bill, but it was like a festival bill. I don't have to look it up. I'll let you know after the fact. But yeah, man. So all good stuff, all good vibes. I'm glad they're back.
Cool. Certified Bangers of the Week.
We got 4. Have you heard any of these?
No.
Naturally.
Actually, no. I have Surd, Underoath, and We Came as Romans, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
Okay, cool. So first up on this list, Northlane, Echo Chamber. They have a new album that's going to be dropping relatively soon called Obsidian. First off, badass name.
Badass name.
Yep. Second of all, it's kind of one of their more experimental tracks. So they had a couple of those on Alien, which made Alien so fucking cool because it had this crazy level of diversity in it. It's something similar to like 4D where it's much softer and not as heavy. It does have its heavy moments. But it is a very cool track. A great music video. The music video consists of basically like a message before saying, hey, with the pandemic, we didn't get a chance to get together to film this video, but with like modern technology and robots, we were able to make it. It had like a little disclaimer up front, and then it's just fucking mannequins. It's just dudes with fucking black suits and mannequins just fucking dancing them around and stuff. It's fantastic. Absolutely check out the music video. It was wonderful. But yeah, very, very cool song. I'm very interested in what they're going to be doing moving forward because both songs off the new album, Clockworks, which dropped a long time ago, is also on this. I'm very excited for it because Northlane, again, just absolutely fantastic. That was my album of the year, whatever year that came out. So, yeah, that might have been 2019 for me. That might have been my 2019 album of the year. But yeah, very, very cool. Wonderful. Underoath Cycle. What do you think?
I too like the Cycle. It's actually quite a banger of a track.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say they're returning to their roots because they're not, but it definitely has like, it's almost like if Underoath influenced Underoath. As stupid as that sounds, you know what I mean? I don't know. I like it, you know, and I didn't like Erase Me as an album, but I'm curious to see where they're going with the song because I know they have the what's his face feature on the last track, Ghostmane, which I thought it was good. I didn't hate it. And you know he has his own hardcore band on the side, so it's not like the world's weirdest fucking feature or anything like that. I'm kind of liking the direction it's going. Okay. If I'm being quite honest with you, and I think Cycle is a very good addition to any workout playlist, and it's something that's kind of been cycled through on my Spotify repeat. 3. I'm excited.
Cool. Next up, Code Orange dropped a new single called Out for Blood. I'm assuming it's a single. I don't know. And you ever heard this, you said?
No.
All right. So kind of weird. It is very industrial in nature, kind of similar to the last album, but also similar to the last album with more heavy new metal influences. All right. Now, before everybody changes the channel and not gives this track a shot, I would recommend it. It's very, very cool. It's different. It's very different for Code Orange. They haven't done anything like this before. They even have Jamie, the screaming vocalist, do some clean vocals. Kind of interesting. But yeah, kind of a very up, fast beat kind of song. I was explaining to my wife based on the music video. It looks like something that they're pitching for the Blade movie. 'Cause you'll see. If you watch the video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, a good track. I like it. I'm looking forward to what they got coming out next. I literally just feel like Underneath just dropped, so I don't know where the time is going or if the pandemic just threw everybody off their shit. Cause think about it, like this tour that they just got wrapped up with Slipknot was like their first tour in support of Underneath. Think about that.
Damn.
Yeah, Underneath came out a year and a half ago, whatever the fuck it was. So, like at the start of the pandemic. So, yeah, man, it's very, very good. Definitely check it out. Looking forward to seeing what they got coming next. Last but not least.
We came as Rogans.
Yeah. Daggers, featuring some kind of rapper of some kind. Are you familiar with this artist? It's 0936 or some shit like that. Zero.
No, I don't think I am. That's a Greg thing.
Yeah, well, you know. So yeah, what do you think?
We Came as Romans is an interesting band that, you know, and this is sort of Captain Obvious here. They peaked in like the fucking fucking mallcore scene shit, and it's interesting to see them innovate, renovate, remodel, continuously push the envelope for themselves. I feel like We Came as Romans is very. Let's not compare us to the rest of the metalcore scene. Let's compare us to our previous work, and it shows. They're very much a. Let's build on top of what we've done before, and I really do appreciate that. This track is good. It's good. It's not great. It's not excellent. It's good. But for a band that, you know, I didn't give a shit about for a decade after, the Planet C came out, that's really good. And I'm glad to see that. And, you know, I'm not going to call them old farts. I'm glad to see that they're still improving because a lot of these bands ride their legacy. And I'm gonna bring them up. And I know you hate them. Attack Attack does a very good job of still pissing us off 10 years later. Once everybody came to terms with Someday Came Suddenly, right? And there's a difference here between making something because you want to improve upon your own skill set, and there's a difference between making something that tries to capitalize on nostalgia while still almost like catering to the audience. And I'm very proud of them for kind of wiggling their way back onto my shuffle.
Yeah.
And they're doing great. I mean, I know it's been hard without Kyle. And the fact that these guys are still going at it, and the fact that they're still improving, and just, I don't know, man. It's a very underdog story, and sounds ridiculous for We Came as Romans, but look at the modern fucking musicscape, dude. They are the underdog, and I'm gonna root for them. And you know what? I have like a renewed appreciation for this band.
For sure. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with the majority of things that you said. I just kind of like the brutality of this particular track, because Kyle's gone. He passed away, obviously. Because of that, they feel like they don't feel the need to insert like random soft spots in the songs just to kind of accommodate him. That they're kind of just going 150 miles per hour and going as hard and as fast as they can go. And I think it's turning out well. It kind of reminded me of Crucible. I don't know if you remember that Crucible EP that dropped that features members from We Came as Romans. It was just kind of this very heavy, violent kind of style of music. And it was very good. This kind of reminds me of that. The feature was cool. Like I said, the rap thing, it was all right. It worked for me. And whoever did it, I think kind of fit the flow of it very well. But yeah, man, I'm glad that they're back to some capacity. I would say the majority of the singles that they've released, without announcing an album, mind you, they have like 4 singles out and there's no album, quote unquote, yet, have been pretty good to very good.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So, yeah, I'm glad that they're still trekking along and, continuing to climb that mountain and, forge ahead, from a very difficult position,
This We Came as Romans storyline, it very much feels like your favorite fighter retired after 2 seasons after winning some giant championship and then just like downhill from there. And it's like now your favorite fighters come back kind of back in like middle tier, still carrying the name, but like people don't want to put money on you and bet on you when they very well fucking should be.
Correct. I agree.
So check them out if you haven't, man, especially if you're like me where the last big WCAR thing you listened to was, To Plant a Seed. By all means, it's gotten much better and I'm excited.
Yep. So I believe from top to bottom, that was episode 175.
175
of the Second City Kids podcast. Thank you guys for checking us out. We will see you guys next time for 176.
176?
And
it doesn't flow as nice.
Yeah, man, I'm sorry. But we'll be back. Check me out on Twitch, Brilliant Villain. Check out Gabe's channel. What's it called again?
Photos by Jabril. I'm also doing the Heart Attack Neck Deep Boston Manor show this upcoming Tuesday.
Very, very cool.
Tomorrow. If you're going to be there, say what's up.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out all those things. We have me and Gabe. We're spread out amongst all kinds of media. So definitely check those things out. And thank you guys for joining us. And until next time, deuces.